Moving on to Intro to DraftSight. The whole point of this assignment is to understand how to set up a workspace and give yourself enough room to draw whatever shape you're going to draw, or object, or part. So for objects 1, 2, 3, we're just warming up, basically showing you how to set up a workspace. So what we're looking at here is the limits. So the limits is basically saying how much workspace do you need on a CAD screen. So if I look at this, basically where you're seeing these grid dots, that's the workspace, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So obviously your workspace has a lower left corner and an upper right corner, and we want to give us enough extra room. So if you understand how a graph works, you have a coordinate system. You've got an X location and a Y location. So you see that comma right there. So we want to make sure we have enough room. So in the activity, whether we drew these or not, setting up the lower left corner, well, if this is 0, 0 on a graph, we want to give ourselves a little extra room, and we do that by a factor of 2. So in this case, if I set up a screen, a workspace for a 5-inch by 5-inch square, and I want to have a little extra room by a factor of 2, well, if this coordinate is 0, 0, coming back 2 inches and down 2 inches, the coordinate would be -2 on the X, -2 on the Y. And again, keeping that 2-inch spacing, 5 plus 2 is 7, 5 plus 2 is 7. And that upper right corner would be 7, 7. So moving forward to something like a circle, where the center point is the origin, or 0, 0, obviously we're moving in each direction. So if this is an 8-inch radius, well, we're coming back in the negative X and down on the negative Y by a factor of 8 inches. So if I add 2 to that and 2 to that, the lower left corner is -10, -10. Upper right corner, 10, 10. Okay. So not every shape is as easy as a square or a circle. So you have to look at the actual shape and your start point and figure out what is the workspace needed. And that's the information that we sort of presented in class. Now, as far as drawing something, we teach 3 different methods: absolute coordinate entry, relative coordinate entry, and polar coordinate entry. Now, the first one right here is basically tracking your location based on where you started. So it's up to you to track the coordinates. And again, this is sort of giving you the answer. But you're tracking the coordinates, and you're also setting up a workspace. So let's figure this out. If my lower left corner is going to be bigger by a factor of 2, and I look at the shape, well, this is exact scale. Each one of these boxes is 1 inch. So I'm obviously -2 on the X location and -2 on the Y location. So going bigger by a factor of 2 inches is going to be -4, -4. And if I count over how far I am on the Y, on the X, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2 is 6. I'm up 2, plus 2 is 4. So there's your lower left corner. Let's move over to the DraftSight screen and actually make this. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is type limits. Get that right. So I'm going to look at this again. I'm going to turn off snap on -2, -2. So right now it's set at -2, -2. That is not correct. So we're going to set that to -4, -4. Now my upper right corner, because I'm out 4 on the X and up 2 on the Y, plus 2, that's going to be 6, 4. And you'll see how your screen sort of resets a little bit. Okay, so let's actually start. What you can do, if you need to, you can actually click and then click again to drag this down where you can see it. Now, absolute coordinate entry is always keeping track and always drawing based on a coordinate system. So you have to understand X is always first as your horizontal axis and Y is your vertical. So the first drawing, start point is 0, 0. Okay, where do we go next? Looks like we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 4 on the X. And 0, we didn't go up at all, so that's 0 on the Y. Next one, we're going to remain out 4 on the X, so it's going to be 4, 1. Now we're going to come back on the X and stay up 1 on the Y, so that's 3, 1. We're going to go up one more, so that's going to stay at 3, comma 2. Now back to 1, comma 2. 1, comma 1. Okay, you can see how we're moving here. Now we're at 1, comma 1, 0, comma 1, negative 1, comma 1, negative 2, comma 1. That brings us back. Negative 2, comma 1, negative 2, 0, negative 2, negative 1. Okay. Negative 2. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's going to be negative 1, comma, negative 1. That brings us back in. We're going to stay at negative 1 on the x, comma, negative 2 on the y. That's going to bring us down. And we're going to come back over to 2, comma, negative 2. And then back up. 2, comma, negative 1. And then 0, comma, negative 1. And then end it by just simply typing 0, comma 0. Okay, so by looking at this, I can tell that the limits were set up properly. There's enough border on each side.